I've always been proud for years and years to have been a strong supporter of Israel. It's family, friends, a lot of reasons. I have just told the chief financial officer and the chief scientific officer that I believe in Israel. I've personally bought Israeli bonds. And an agency which I used to run here in the state of Texas just coincidentally bought millions of dollars worth of Israeli bonds, which have been a real good investment. And when I was on presidential commissions, I always pushed for strong support for the country of Israel. You know, but there are additional reasons. There are really strong reasons why two countries, there's so many promising economic opportunities for us between Israel and the United States, Israel and Texas. There are opportunities to develop cleaner technology. I see a big opportunity for Israeli companies and Texas companies as a business person myself. I mean, here you've got Israel with a unemployment rate of 5.9%, with a GDP growth per year of 4.2%, whose export-driven country is driven by high-tech companies. And the same can be said of Texas. I think we've got a real powerhouse here in Texas. We've got, some may say arguably, I think clearly, the strongest economy in the country right here in Texas. And it's an opportunity for Israeli companies to look at joint venturing, working, investing with Texas companies here in Texas, and obviously for Texas companies to look at investing in Israel. So I'd like to see a tremendous growth of mutually beneficial partnerships and investment by our Texas companies and by Israeli companies. And also, there's a chance to develop more sophisticated technology for water and alternative energy. I'm sure you've had other speakers today talk about the development and the amount of interest which we have in alternative energy sources and also in water policy. Obviously, Texas is the largest producer of natural gas in the United States. We're a net exporter. But at the same time, we've made more of an investment in alternative energy here in Texas than I think any other state has. We're leading the United States, and we're a world leader in wind power. As a matter of fact, if Texas were a country, some days we talk about that, but if Texas were a country, I don't talk about that. One of my associates, one of my colleagues talks about that. But I keep telling them to be careful about that. But if Texas were a country, we'd be the 6th largest wind producer in the world. Currently, we have almost 10,000 megawatts installed, going to 18,500 megawatts. And we've also invested in additional guarantees for solar, for geothermal, for biomass. And so we're looking at a number of different alternative energy supplies. I think we've developed a very sensible water policy. We've made large investments. As our population here in Texas doubles over the next 25 years, see, a lot of people don't realize that right now here in Texas, great for all you business people, wonderful. Challenge to those of us in government. But Texas is the fastest growing state in the country, population-wise. We're adding about 1,500 people, new people, each day in Texas on average. Our population over the next 25 years doubles from 25 million to right about 45 to 50 million. So there are lots of business opportunities for everyone right here. Challenge in government. I mean, the next 10 years, we're going to have 25% more public schools and public school teachers. The next decade, that number goes up to roughly 35%. But tremendous, I think, business opportunities here. But there's more that unites us, I think, in so many ways than divides us. Israel is the only true democracy in the Middle East. It's a linchpin as an ally for the United States. Israel has the same commitment to fundamental values that we do in the United States. Respect for the rule of law, huge. Protection of individual freedom, huge. And earnest hopes for a peaceful world for Israel We have an earnest hope for a peaceful world for Israel and the United States, and for a cleaner world. And so, my job, as I see it, was to come here, and for those of you who traveled, quite a few of you have traveled from Israel and from other different positions with Israel here in the United States down to Austin. But I wanted to say on behalf of the state of Texas, we're very interested, I have a personal interest in seeing that we have a close collaboration, close support for the nation of Israel. And my message here today is that you're being exposed to the #1 secret weapon, the secret strength of the state of Texas, Texans, and Texas companies. They are different, they're unique. We believe here in Texas in true grit, can-do spirit, and we try and demonstrate that all around the world. So welcome to Texas, and we look forward to a lot of success between our Texas companies and those Israel companies that are here today. Thank you.